بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين. اللهم صل على محمد وآل Muhammad. Inshallah, today we're going to talk about a very important subject from Imam Ali alayhi salam. We have a narration from Imam Ali that said, and this is basically all the science, everything you can imagine of, it's inside this hadith. He said all the meaning of the Quran al-Kareem, like if you read the 600 page inside, is inside Surah Al-Fatiha. You know, Surah Al-Fatiha only has 7 verses. And all the meaning of Surah Al-Fatiha is inside Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. You know, at the beginning of Surah Al-Fatiha. And all the meaning of Surah Al-Fatiha, the Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, is inside the ba, at the beginning of Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. And all the meaning of the ba is inside the dot under the ba, at the beginning of Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. And he said, I am that dot. I am that dot. So basically, Walaikum Salam. So basically, Imam Ali is telling us about different dimension of science, and they're very important. For 1,400 years, many scientists were baffled about this hadith, but they don't really understand what exactly he meant by the dot under the ba. He is referring to a certain science many people they always pass by. That's why these days they keep saying Quran al-Kareem is very limited. They say the Quran is that we have, it's not really the holy book. Same thing like the Bible. They said, you know, there's many verses inside the Quran that they don't make any sense. Why? Because there's no real study. They didn't really study the Quran. And we have a hadith from Ahlul Bayt that said all the meaning of life, whatever we live in, even if someone can extract the meaning from the Quran through the numbers. You know, there is a place where you can take real letter and then turn them to numbers. This is like real transformation, and it does exist inside the Bible, it does exist inside the Quran al-Kareem, and it does exist in the old books of Jewish called Talmud. Those books, each one of them, they have a transformation. For example, I give you a fast example. It's a very deep science, this kind of science. For example, if you ask who is the Khalifa of Rasulullah, from the letters you transform this letter to numbers. There's, for example, there's rules. Nobody can, you have to study it very deep. You have to really love that kind of science. And then the letters, after transforming them to numbers, you add them up. There's a certain way you do it, and then those letters, they will tell you back. If you transform from the numbers to the letters back, it will say who is the Khalifa of Rasulullah. It will tell you the real answers. It's really, this is real science. It does exist. If you search my old videos in Arabic, I have this example set up. Will show you how exactly the Quran can answer your questions. So what do I mean by that? I mean that all your life, everyone's life, if someone really go deeper inside, what does it mean, those letters and so on, it can answer all your questions in life. Everything you can imagine of, it will answer it. But this kind of science is tied to too many secrets, deep secrets inside, because Allah Azza wa Jal, through Ahlul Bayt, they don't really want to relieve this kind of secret to anybody. So anybody can ask any questions, and then you have all your answers. He doesn't want you to do that, because he wants you to go in levels inside science and inside iman, taqwa, like go closer to Allah Azza wa Jal, so he can reveal this to you. Inshallah, by time you will reach certain level, but it will take you too much time to go to that point. Anyway, my important point now, that the Quran al-Kareem is the divine book that can answer all the questions, even in science, even in physics, all kind of sciences, all kind of religion questions, anything you can imagine of. Now let's talk more about what exactly Amir al-Mu'minin said about that dot, because it will baffle you. What do you mean by 600 page exist inside Surah Al-Fatiha? You know, inside those 7 verses. Alhamdulillah, we read these verses every single time we go to Salat, right? Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim Malik Yawmiddin Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'in, till the end of this surah. This surah, if you read it, it will equal the Quran Al-Kareem. It does equal the Quran Al-Kareem, all of it. So let's ask the question, where exactly inside Surah Al-Fatiha, Surah Al-Baqarah exist? You see, where does it exist in Surah Al-Fatiha? This is where the hard question will start. This is if you want to start knowing the the Quran al-Kareem, you want to know this, the science of the Quran, here where you start. Here where you start asking real questions. Yani this is how you start getting all this domino taken out. Yani you can solve this kind of domino. We can say that. So where exactly the Surah Al-Baqarah exists in Surah Al-Fatiha? This is the first question you can ask. Different questions where, for example, inside the Quran al-Kareem, let's say Surah Qul A'udhu Birabbin Nas, where does it exist in Surah Al-Fatiha? And this is it become more harder and harder. How can you take 100, for example, 100 million letter and then put them all in 7 verses? Where do you find them exactly? So here you start ask the question, what does Surah Al-Baqarah mean? You see the cow. I know in the English translation. What do you mean by Surah Al-Baqarah? Here you say, oh, it's the cow, or Surah Al-Baqarah. Allah, He called it the cow because there's a narration from there's a story about Nabi Moussa alayhi salam. I'm gonna tell you about this story so you know a little bit about it. There's this story that said this person he died, and then Nabi Moussa existed in his time, and 2 tribes, they were going to fight because that person died. But Allah Azza wa Jal, He told them, if you guys bring a cow that colored yellow, if you find a cow that color yellow, you can take a part from this cow and then throw it on that person, and he will come back alive. This is mainly all the story. And then he did that, and then this person, he came back alive, and he said who killed him, and then he died again. This is why Allah Azza wa Jal called it the cow. But he want us to think deeper. Why He called the cow a cow? I mean the Surah Al-Baqarah. Here, if you read the Baqarah from the very beginning to the very end, you find that Allah Azza wa Jal, He's telling you why He symbolized this as a cow. He told you, if you now study the life of the cow, you see that when the cow go outside to start eating, the cow has 2 stomachs inside her. 2 stomachs. The first one will start eating all the food. It doesn't go any digestion, just will continuously eat, and then would go back home. It will start, getting back all the food to her mouth, eating them up, and then take them to the different place where she can start digestion. Subhanallah. Why? Because Allah Azza wa Jal, He wants her to save time while she's eating. He wants to eat as much as she can before going back home, because before they used to take the cow long distances so they can eat. And this is good for her. So if you see why Allah Azza wa Jal, He called it the cow, because He's talking about us. He's telling us, while you're young, you learn so much. You learn, when you turn 19, 20, now you start questioning. Whatever your family gave you, now it's gonna go back to your brain. You're gonna process that, and then it's gonna become your way in life. So if you see the cow at the very beginning, Alif Lam Mim, at the very end of the Surah Al-Baqarah, you see all the cows talking about the constitution of Islam. It's telling you about the salat, it's telling you about the siyam, it's telling you about the zakat, it's telling you about the money you should give to the poor, it's telling you all the things it's important for you inside life, all materialistic stuff. I'm not talking about like saying the salat is materialistic. No, I'm saying how do you perform that, how do you do siyam, why we do siyam, stuff like that. And then if you turn the second after Surah Al-Baqarah, the Surah Al-Imran, all Surah Al-Imran is talking about spirituality side. It's telling you how to be spiritual in every spirituality inside life. And every verse you turn it's talking about something, and you need to really pick up those things from the inside the Quran. This is how you start reading the Quran right, because the Quran is not trying to just impress you with the wording, saying, oh, subhanallah, look at this. No, it's telling you, even with every word inside, even how Allah Azza wa Jal, He written this word inside, sometimes it defy the meaning. I mean, for example, let's say Yasin, when you write Yasin, it's just ya and then sin. He didn't write Yasin, and you see, have you ever wondered why? He wrote 2 letters, he didn't write it all. He didn't write ya and then alif and then sin and then ya and then noon. He just wrote two letters, and he wants you to pronounce it like this, Yasin. Same thing like Taha. Taha is they say Yasin and Taha is names of Rasulullah. But Taha, it's a sound name. He doesn't really want you to just look at the Ta and the Ha. He wants you to really read it out loud. That's why we say a recitation of the Quran. because when you recite the Quran, it has a different meaning. Taha mean, who knows what does it mean? Taha. If you really pronounce it in a higher level, like Taha, you know, what does it show you? Show you the Big Bang. You show Ta, you know, the ha is the sound of the echo. If you really sound like, if you really bring like a big, now you can listen, you know, to the movie when they do a big, you know, detonation or something. So you see Ta, you know. Have you ever listened to a war sound before? You will see when they drop every big missile, it will sound like Taha, you know. Why? Because there's a big boom, and then after that there's a sound of the echo. So Taha is like that. So when someone tell me this Allah Azza wa Jal show you the Big Bang inside the Quran, you know, they're trying to make fun of me. I say, yeah, Taha is the Big Bang, you know. And then when you start reading after Taha, وَمَا أَنزَلْنَا عَلَيْكَ الْقُرْآنَ لِتَشْقَى, Allah Azza wa Jal did not reveal the Quran for you to be, you know, to always like worry so much. Why? Because always this is the sound of the war, you know. Allah Azza wa Jal, He's trying to tell you, look, the Quran is gonna take over all the people in the future, because it's the divine science. So you don't have to worry about that. You see? So all the meaning will after that will explain what I'm telling you. But you can read it in different ways. You can just say Taha is just a name. People say Taha, Allah Azza wa Jal, He said to Taha name. Many people in Arabic call Taha, you know. So even there's a TV called Taha. Why? Because they think it's just the name of Rasulullah. But in reality, Allah Azza wa Jal is telling you, if you really discover Taha like this, the meaning of I created this universe because of Rasulullah. If someone tell me, can you have the proof? Yes, then the very name is a proof for that. So let's go back to the main subject. The main subject is, where do we find this inside the Quran al-Karim till we go to the point, to the dot. Before we go to this dot, many people for 7-8 years, they keep telling me all these ones, whatever I'm presenting might be like consequential, like it's I'm sorry.
Conspiracy?
No, not conspiracy. Consequential. I mean, it's like صدفة. I don't know in Arabic, in English. صدفة. Coincidence. Yeah. They keep telling. I'm sorry, I forgot the word. They keep telling me it's coincidence. It's coincidence that I mean, it is like this. For example, if you go to the sacred geometry, you say it. You look at it, they say, how did you find this kind of science? You know, if you study the quantum physics now, you see it's going to crash. I mean, the quantum physics, if you don't really give it strong places where it can stand, it's going to crash, because there's no explanation now. For example, they say the smallest things in matter is atom. The smaller than atom is something called quarks, you know, inside atom, inside the proton and neutrons. Inside quarks, there's forces. Those forces, 8 forces, you know. Inside those forces, they say it's something called pure form of information. Basically, they're saying it's the order of creation, you know. But they don't want to say there's something called creation. When they tell you it's a order of information, what do you mean? Pure form of information. This means someone tell a being. This is what they explain. We don't believe that Allah Azza wa Jal is a being. It's beyond that. A being, a very powerful being that ordered this to exist. It's given it its true spirit. This is what its true essence. So it's all this power is, nobody know where is it going to. So we go back to the old wisdom. What we call the old wisdom is when you go to the old temples. We have for example 124,000 prophets before Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We have 124,000 prophets. Many of those prophets, they bring us sciences. I'll give you one example of these sciences, because some people say, what do you mean prophet, they give us science? Prophet are old people. This is how they think. Actually, prophets, they give us a very important science. Let's say the science of constellation of stars. You go outside, you see those stars, you know. You see, oh, this constellation of stars will form the balance. This constellation of stars will form the Capricorn. Some people, they study that. They love to look at the stars. They love to look at the shapes and so on. But sometimes you start asking yourself, I don't know why people, they don't ask themselves these questions. Who formed those ones like this? Who said this is Capricorn? Because it doesn't look like a Capricorn. For example, you can bring different two stars, they're close to each other, but they're not connected with each other. Who said those not connected to each other? Who put those laws? If we really dig deeper, you see that the prophets, they teach us those things. The beauty about the stars, that our earth is surrounding 12 constellation of stars. Subhanallah, each one representing an imam. And then there is a 72 constellation of stars all around the universe. Why there's a 72? Because there's a reason behind that, for sure. But we see those stars, the 72 constellation of stars, but they're not close to us, so they can affect us so hard. Only those 12 constellation of stars, they affect us so hard. Now you say, who did teach us this science? Actually, the prophets, they gave us this science. Now if you go to Google, you write, who gave us the science of constellation of stars? Nobody know. They say, oh, the old people, I mean, like 4,000 years ago, they just gave us this science, but nobody really question who. Same thing in mathematics. When you go, for example, to find something about the square root, you start asking yourself, what does it mean? Who gave us square root? Whoever it is, square root. What is square root? But if you really study it very hard, square root represents something very important in Islam. It does have something, we see it, we feel it. It's a matter. This is the importance of Islam. Islam is trying to tell us all those things. He said, Allah Azza wa Jal, the science of religion is equivalent of the science of mathematics. It is equal to the science of physics. It is equal to the science of matter. Same thing like Einstein before said. He said E equal mc square. E is the energy, mc square is the matter, right? So the matter equal the energy. The light equal the energy, right? So we continue this formula. We say the matter equal the light equal the Quran equal the mathematics equal all those things, because they have to exist inside each other. That's why Allah Azza wa Jal, He show us that He is the most divine God. So far, are you following, or I'm getting harder?
I have a question.
Yes.
Square root. So why is it so important in Islam?
What is it?
The square root.
Why it's Well, it's important because I can show you now the formula of existence if you want. But square root, Allah Azza wa Jal, He revealed it inside Hadith al-Kessa. I told you last week about Hadith al-Kessa, the narration of Kessa. Remember it, Hadith? You want me to repeat it? You want me to repeat the Hadith? Okay, Hadith al-Kessa. You know you said?
I said no.
Okay, let's repeat it. Let's repeat Hadith al-Kessa. What is it, Hadith al-Kessa? When I was young, I always used to wonder what is important about Hadith al-Kessa. Believe me, if you read Hadith al-Kessa, you think it's a story. What is this story? Is Sayyidah Zahra, she was in her house. This is very important. Every piece of Hadith al-Kessa, when you study it, is very important, because later you discover all the secret of Ahlul Bayt from Hadith al-Kessa, and even the way they went inside Sayyidah Zahra, to the house of Sayyidah Zahra. The first, Rasulullah, he came into Sayyidah Zahra and he said, I feel a little bit tired. Can you bring me the kessa al-Yamani? Kessa al-Yamani is a blanket. Allah Azza wa Jal sent it to Rasulullah from Jibreel alayhi salam, and it is from heaven. This hadith, this kessa al-Yamani is from heaven. That's why they call it Hadith al-Kessa, the narration of Kessa. And then he put the blanket, he covered his body with the blanket, and he sat down inside the room. After that, who came in? Imam Hassan alayhi salam. You see, I told you have to study it later. It will become very important. Now I'll show you sacred geometry from Hadith al-Kessa. I will play what is it, sacred geometry. At the same time, I will recite Hadith al-Kessa. You see how is it connected together. At second one, who came in? Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam. He came into the house. It's important sequence. Imam al-Hassan came into the house. He said, I see Rasulullah inside. Can I go join him under the kessa? He said, yes, go ahead. I give you the permission. So he asked Rasulullah, he joined him. I'm just saying it very fast. Imam Hussein joined the house, same thing. He said, Rasulullah in the house. Can I go inside my mother? She said, yes, go inside and ask him the permission to go under the kessa. He did. Imam Ali came in, same thing. He did. Sayyidah Zahra came in, he said, can I join you? And then she joined him. And then Allah Azza wa Jal, he said, oh my angels, look at those 5 people, I created the universe for them. I know it's hard to understand why, what does it mean he created the universe for them, but later we will know why he said that. And then Jibreel alayhi salam, can I go down and then join them? He said, yeah, you can go. And then later he joined them. This is the Hadith al-Kisa. This is it. So regarding your question, what does it mean square root? When I say 5 people under a blanket, what does it mean in mathematics? 5 people under a blanket. Can you transfer me this meaning to the Hadith al-Kisa? What does it mean in mathematics, 5 people under a blanket? I know it's a little hard question. I'm sorry, it's completely doesn't make sense, but it will start make sense a little bit more.
Maybe some kind of parentheses.
Yeah, I mean you can put the parentheses. Yeah, you can put the parentheses.
Fraction.
No, fraction. You will dividing people, and you're killing people. What does it mean? Square root is, look at it. It's just a cover. Square root is a cover. Is a V under a cover. You see, this is square root, right? What do I mean if I put square root of 5 under that? I mean there's 5 people under a blanket, right? Square root of 5 is now someone can tell me it doesn't relate. There's no relation, but I'll say yes. There's a big relation. Yes.
Oh, in a fraction, can you interpret the denominator as being under a cover?
I will tell you why. I'm giving you the proof now. If you go to a real science called the Sallu ala Muhammad. The science called golden ratio. Okay, golden ratio is the science of creation. All the engineers use golden ratio. For example, your phone is beautiful. You're accepting your phone because it has a good golden ratio. What do I mean by that? For example, when they made the phone, at the very beginning, remember when the phone used to be very ugly, like big, like it doesn't make sense, so big like this. When you watch the movie, it doesn't make sense. When you flip it like this, it doesn't flip because it's showing you the heads are big. It's a technology, but later they start learning from the nature. They said if we want to make something nice, same thing like the TV. Remember the TV used to be small before? When they want to make it bigger, they used to make it like a square bigger. When you make it square bigger, the image is not very nice. Later they start making it wider. They said wider it's nicer. Why? Because it's followed the design of the golden ratio. I'll give you another example. Da Vinci, when he made this famous painting, I'm trying to remember the name. Yeah, Mona Lisa. Yes, when he made, why it's so important, the Mona Lisa? People they drew before, they made draw, right? They drew a beautiful woman before. If you look at Mona Lisa, she's not beautiful, but they drew a beautiful woman better than him. Why? But why it's so important, Mona Lisa? Why it's costing like $200 billion to buy Mona Lisa? Yes.
The usual explanation is like the design of the Mona Lisa. So like nobody had his.
Why? So nobody had his design. Does it mean he followed a new rule? This rule called the golden ratio. He started from the noise, and then he started drawing all the picture from measuring her face. For example, I told you before, if you want to see someone beautiful, what does it mean someone beautiful? If you see someone, you say so beautiful. What do you mean by someone? Can you translate this to science? Yes, we can translate this. How do you translate that? If you look at his face, this section should exactly look like this section, and then the noise has to be 1.6, measuring from here from top to bottom, and then his eyes has to be 1.6 from this side to the other side. Same thing, this side to the other side. What do I mean by 1.6? Let's say my hand. If I bring my hand, if I measure this distance from over here to over here, right? This is the full distance. This over here has to be 1.6 the distance of over there. This has to be a little larger than this. If it's not larger, when you look at it, say, oh, something ugly about it. Even though Allah Azza wa Jal, He gave us the definition inside our eye, while we don't really know what kind of definition is this. So Allah Azza wa Jal embedded this inside our eyes. If you see someone beautiful, this is mean he's very close to 1.6. If you see someone not beautiful to you, then he's not 1.6 inside your eyes. Some of them, some of them, because they mess up their brains with their beauty. You can reprogram your brain. What does beauty meaning? Then you can mess up this a lot. The distance of 1.6. Anyway, we go back to that to the golden ratio. Golden ratio, the rule of golden ratio, what does it equal? Equal 1 over 1 plus square root of 5. So when a person came into Imam al-Baqir, he said, can you prove that God exists? He said 1 over 1 plus square root of 5. Because if you look at this rule, the mathematical rule, this is the existence. Because look, you have a 1, this is the oneness of Allah Azza wa Jal, and then under that, divided by 1, the other one is Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, the real one. You remember the last week when we spoke about the light of Rasulullah? It's equal to 1. And then plus square root of 5. This is the existence, the real existence of life. So the first square root ever been made in nature, what is it? Square root of 5. So when we say the Hadith al-Kessa, it does exist in mathematics, it's equal to square root of 5. That's why Allah Azza wa Jal, He tell women to wear a scarf. Because Hadith al-Kessa mean a scarf at the same time. It's covering with a blanket. Covering themselves with a blanket. And it does exist in mathematics. For you to wear a scarf, when someone tell you, give me a proof, we have a proof from mathematics why you wear a scarf. I know it doesn't make sense now, but it does. It will in the future, inshallah. Any questions now?
Didn't you say that division not like killing or something?
No, it's not not when he spoke about, when I told him about killing, I don't mean killing in real life, because do we have a morality in matter? Like for example, when I bring something from, like I bring an atom inside matter and make it disappear, does someone inside matter make me a criminal because I made it disappear? No, I'm just answering you. Do we have morality in matter? Do we have morality in mathematics? You see, we have morality only in existence, us as a beings, a human being, because we have a spirit. If mathematics does not have the spirit.
Did you mean it had like a negative connotation?
Yes, something like that. Yeah. Okay. So let's look at the sacred geometry. I have a small video over here, and let's read Hadith al-Kessa while we're doing, and we see after that, after Hadith al-Kessa, from those 5 people and then plus 6, because Jibreel alayhi salam, he came down, right, and then he joined them under the blanket. From those 6, how the creation was made, and then from sacred geometry you see why we have the Star of David, why we have a Kaaba look like Kaaba. You know, when we go to Hajj, if you ever ask yourself why Allah Azza wa Jal He made the Kaaba like cube, why He didn't make the Kaaba as a circle? So it will answer you. Look, let's look at this video. Okay. So this is the beginning of sacred geometry. What is it exactly, sacred geometry? I'll just explain very fast. Where did we find it? In all older temples, that prophets, they showed us this science. For example, when Noah, he said in his ship, he said, I'm gonna write the name of the 5 Ahlul Kissa. He didn't just write Muhammad, Hassan, Hussein, kaza. No, he drew the sacred geometry sign. Each prophet, they had their own temple, they used to draw it, and then they put it as something would give them the blessing. I'll show you how. Remember last week when we spoke about the light of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam as Ahmad? This is the light of Ahmad. Look, I'll push play, and then at the very beginning, Allah Azza wa Jal, this is where we call it the golden ratio. You see where exists golden ratio? You see this wow? The wow in Arabic is a golden ratio. Allah Azza wa Jal, He gave a symbol inside the Quran. This is how He created the wow in Arabic. You see the wow, how is it created? This is the golden ratio. The wow is the golden. How did we know? Allah Azza wa Jal, when He said, when I created everything, I told it to be and it was, right? In Arabic He said kun fayakun, right? What does it mean kun? There's 2 letters, kaf and then noon, right? Kaf and noon. Inside the kaf, between kaf and noon, there's a waw, but we don't write that waw because I don't want to give you too much headache. But you see the kaf when you write it down, it's broken. Have you ever? Do you guys know how to read Arabic or?
I don't know.
Little hard. Do you know how to write it and to write Arabic?
I noticed that before.
Yeah. For example, if you put lam, not the kaf, lam, and then you connect it to a different letter, it's not broken, right? You put lam and then law, for example, just lam and then waw. I'm sorry if it's a boring lecture, but you know, lam and then waw. It's not broken lam, right? But when we put kaf, it will be broken. Why? Because Allah Azza wa Jal, when He ordered the creation to be, it was high pressure order that the kaf was broken. So that's why we write it down as a broken letter. To signify the power of Allah Azza wa Jal. You see, we write all those things, but nobody asks the question why. I told you at the beginning of last lecture, the why is the hardest question ever. My lecture is all whys. You see, we passed those questions before. Now we care so much about life in the future. You know, we care about how to get closer to Allah. But how can you get closer to Allah if you don't know yourself who you are? Many ulama outside, they speak about the morality, they speak about how to be a good Muslim or so on. And you guys can give me lectures now, very beautiful lectures. Even her, one time we were in the majma, and she spoke a good lecture about Islam. You know, many people, they give good lectures. Yeah, you, yeah. Yeah. So the good lecture about Islam, morality is very important. But the problem now we live in, before the appearing of Imam Mahdi salamullah alayhi, if we don't understand this question, those things, how we can understand the importance of Imam? Yeah.
I just have a question.
Yeah.
So who gives the interpretation that it's broken because of the order? It's so high.
Because I gave you the example of lam. You see, when you write a lam, the kaf is same written, right? The kaf, you see, if I write it down, let me write it down, okay? You see, I'm gonna write lam, just lam. You see, like this. Okay. If I'm gonna connect any letter after lam, I'll just say, for example, law, like this.
Okay.
It doesn't do anything, right? The kaf is like this, same thing. The kaf. This is the kaf. We have something like that, right? Have you seen the kaf before? The kaf is exactly like lam, but we have a hamza here.
Yeah.
Okay, right? Let's forget about this. We have a hamza. But if we connect anything to it, it will be broken. We take this one off and then we break it down like this.
Okay.
Yeah. So if we ask the old science, the old wisdom, why this is broken? Who broke it? Why we write it like this broken letter, like a half a triangle? Yes.
There's no others.
No, this is the only letter in Arabic you break it when you write it down.
And the only place in the Quran where it says where it's broken like that.
Yeah, actually, Allah Azza wa Jalla, He said kaha ya ayn sad. You know the broken letter kaha ya ayn sad.
Those are the
This is the broken letters. When he wrote the broken letters, many people they start interpreting. Oh, ka mean Karbala. Ha is halak al-atra. They just find any place and then they attach it. Actually, Allah Azza wa Jalla is speaking about something divine. Ka, this is the ka. When he broke it, when he made the existence exist. If I want to show you this power, I told you before, the Arabic letter is not just letter because I'm proud of my language, Arabic. No, the Arabic letter is the language of heavens. Allah Azza wa Jalla is a creation. I can sit down over here, show you every letter how it was created. It has a science of how it was created. It's the only language. That's why Allah Azza wa Jalla, He said, we revealed the Quran in a divine language. He didn't say, not because I'm Arabic, I'm proud of Arabic, because of this only. No, because Allah Azza wa Jalla said, this is divine language. Every letter inside the Quran is a creation. For example, Allah Azza wa Jalla, it made a spirituality from those letters. Inshallah, in the future, I will show you deeper things. If you are interested in this kind of science, I will show you very deep things. And even, you see the waw over here? How we created? You see, this is the waw. You see, do you see this letter? Wow, it's a golden ratio. And then do you see the dot? This is half a circle. What does the half circle on top of it a dot mean? Like a half a circle, and then there's a dot on top of it, like this. Noon, right? Allah Azza wa Jal, He said, Noon wal qalam wa ma yasturun. When he said, when I created, at the very beginning, I used a noon, right? He said, Noon wal qalam wa ma. It's over here. This is the noon. Look. It's over here. Okay, I'll show you. Because we want to go to the ba. Okay? So we continue. This is the first circle. We remember this circle is like the house of Sayyidah Zahra salamullah alayhi. And then inside of this circle, inside of it is Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Who listened before to a narration that said Ali is the gate of knowledge? You listen to that, right? So it does exist. Sunni and Shia, they said Imam Ali is the gate of knowledge. What does it mean, gate of knowledge? You see this inside the middle? You see over here? When we started making the second one, it started from the door, the gate of knowledge. The gate of knowledge of Rasulullah. Who came in? Imam Ali salamullah alayhi. So he said, if you want to go enter my knowledge, my gate of knowledge, you have to enter through Ali, right? This is a narration from Rasulullah. So this is the gate of knowledge. The second circle is who? Representing Imam Ali salamullah alayhi. This is how Imam Ali was created from Rasulullah. Remember last week when I told you about the ship? You see that in the middle there is something look like an eye. You see between those two circles there's something called like an eye. You see this is the eye. Why Allah Azza wa Jalla, He said Imam Hassan is Safinatun Najat. Safina, what does it mean Safina? Safina mean like a ship. How a ship look like? Can you make a ship look like a flat? Or it has to be looking like an eye. Right? When he said Hussein is Safinatun Najat, how many dots is connecting those two circles? 2 dots, right? How many sons Imam Ali have? Hassan and Hussein. Hassan and Hussein. Those 2 dots. Look how Allah Azza wa Jal will create from those 2 dots Hassan and Hussein. We'll continue. Yes.
Didn't he have more sons?
No. I'm talking about Sayyidah Zahra. That's why.
Only from Sayyidah.
No, from Sayyidah. That's why I told you, Rasulullah, he came into the Sayyidah Zahra house. He didn't go to his house. You see, all will start making sense. Okay, we'll continue. Look, from those dots I just show you now, you see the one of them, this is Imam Hassan alayhi salam. This is the third circle. And then from the other dot is Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Now we will see a 3D later. Imam Hussein alayhi salam. And then after that, who joined the circle? Who joined the house? Imam Hassan, now Imam Hussein. And then Sayyidah Zahra, right? She told Rasulullah that I want to go inside. Allah Azza wa Jal, He's shown us how He's creating Sayyidah Zahra. I'll show you why He called her Zahra. Now, look, this is Sayyidah Zahra now, circle. And then who came in after that? Jibreel alayhi salam, asking the permission to go inside the house, right? Okay, I'll stop it now. What do we have now? We have 6 circles inside one big circle, right? We have 6 circles inside one big circle. At the beginning of Hadith al-Kissa, what did I tell you? Every detail is very important. The Rasulullah went to the house of Sayyidah Zahra, right? Why Allah Azza wa Jal called Sayyidah Zahra Zahra? What does it mean, Zahra mean in Arabic? Flower, right? Can you show me the flower here? Do you see the flower?
Yes.
Do you see it?
Is it the whole thing?
Yeah, the whole thing is a flower. You see, this is why he said Zahra is Zahra. You see, when Allah Azza wa Jal, He told us Zahra meaning, the meaning of Zahra is very holistic. When He say is Sayyidatu Nisa al-Alamin, Sayyidah Nisa al-Alamin, she's the master not just of our universe. He didn't say Sayyidatu Nisa al-Alam in Arabic. Alam is one universe. When you say Alamin, is all the universe. So when you say she is the master of Sayyidat of all the Alamin, this is mean because she's connected to the universe itself. And after that, this is the Khamsa Ashab al-Kisa, when Allah Azza wa Jal said, I created everything from them. You see, I'll show you later how in atoms where this exists. I'll show you later in cells how this exists. Okay, we'll continue. How the other Imams came to life. The other Imam Ali Zain al-Abidin, Imam Ali Zain al-Abidin, all the Imams, look how they came into life. Look, this is very important. It will move fast now. This is how the other Imam came to life. Now, if you look at this circle, we will have around 17 circles all connected together. Look. And then now we are, Allah Azza wa Jal is showing us the reality of Al-Kaaba. You see the red color inside? It's cube, right? It starts to come to life. When someone tell you what does Kaaba mean in Islam, the Kaaba actually representing the 12 imam. The Kaaba representing the 12 imam. What does it mean? You see those two triangle, one is up, one is down. This is the Star of David. Look, the Star of David, how it's coming. This is in this science called the Metatron. You see, this is the Star of David, up and down, and it has a real meaning in life. I'll show you later what those meanings are. And then inside that, look, we have a different shape under this shape, and then there's a different shape. We have in total 5 shapes. What we call them in English, the Platonic solids. This is the Platonic solids. Platonic solids, everything in matter is made by 5 those Platonic solids. Now you study chemistry, all chemistry is connected to the Platonic solids. You cannot bring a different shape other than those 5. So each one of them represents something in Islam. They were created mainly from who? From the first 5 of Hadith al-Kessa. Later he showed us all the rest of the imams. Later he created all the universe from them. Okay? You see, he's showing us more, like piece by piece. But now, for example, we know why the Kaaba is like a Kaaba. Please go, when you go home, read about the sacred geometry. Just read, go inside it, because it's a big science, you know. Yeah.
What was the origin of sacred geometry?
Yeah, from those 5, from the Zahra. You see the Zahra?
Who made it?
Allah, He made it like that.
But who discovered it?
Oh, they discovered inside the old temples, of the different prophets.
Okay.
For example, in Baalbek, if you ever visit Baalbek in Lebanon, you see many people, they go take selfies there. They say, no, it's beautiful there. But actually, it does exist there. The sacred geometry sign exists inside the temple of Baalbek. If you go to Turkey, you go to old temples, like 6,000 years old temples, you will find the sacred geometry inside them. If you go to even there's a place over here, the stone hedges. Inside the stone hedges, the way it's designed, the stone hedges, it is designed from sacred geometry. If you go to all the old temples that they don't really understand what they are, they study the design of it, it's made by the Platonic solids. So this science, it does exist. But us, because we left all this science and we were following materialism mainly, we lost all these things. We lost it. So yeah.
Question. So is it true that before the Kaaba was rebuilt, was it a rectangle?
No, never been. Always cube. Never been a rectangle. Always cube. Yeah. Since Adam alayhi salam, it was always cube. He put four dots, and then he said, "This is the Kaaba." Because the Kaaba, who know what does the Kaaba represent now on earth? Let's talk about golden ratio. Who knows what is the Kaaba now? The center of the earth. Okay, how do you know what is the center of the earth? You know, you put all the map of earth, and then how do you know where the center start? You measure 1.6. When you measure 1.6 on each side, the exact dot will go to the Kaaba. Exact dot, the Kaaba. You know, when you put, for example, now what is the golden ratio of earth, it will tell you this place, and then when you go inside the Google, you make it bigger, then you find the Kaaba there. Yes.
Now, are you using 1.6 as a multiple, like 1.6 times?
No, 1.6 mean like
1.6.
the end rule, like it has a.
Ratio. Or
This
that's
is what I
slope.
told you. If you put 1 over 1 plus square root of 5, it will give you 1.6.
Yeah. Like
That's
that
what
would
I'm
be a
saying.
slope.
Yes, 1.6. Yes.
Okay.
Who knows what is the golden ratio of our body? All the body, not just the. And even Da Vinci drew that. Da Vinci, when he drew this person, he's like having his hand like that, and then his legs. If you drew the middle of the body, it will be the heart. And then, subhanallah, when Allah, the first thing inside the baby's mother womb, inside the mother's womb, is the first thing ever come to life is the heart. The first thing. Allah Azza wa Jal is connected to us through what? Through the heart. You see? Okay. Who have more questions?
Well, it's gonna create a ton of questions.
Yeah, it's gonna create a ton of questions. Yeah. Okay. Let's go back to the main subject, because this is what's important. The main subject. Type. We'll go to the dot. To the main dot. You see the at the beginning of sacred geometry, everything started by this dot. But what does it exactly mean? What does it mean exactly, this dot? Let's go back to the older lecture, last week's lecture. Inshallah, I'll explain it very fast. Allah Azza wa Jal, when He created Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, his name wasn't Muhammad, it was named Ahmad. Ahmad, Alif, Ahmad, at the beginning Ahmad. Not Mim, Alif at the beginning. Because it has a meaning. Even the name Muhammad has a meaning. Ahmad has a meaning. Okay. This Allah Azza wa Jal, He covered it by what? You see the sacred geometry? He covered it by the cube. When you cover something by the cube, if you have a light, you cover it by the cube, what's gonna happen? You're not gonna see it anymore. It's gonna disappear, right? It still exists, but disappear. I told you before, Allah Azza wa Jal, when He put a cover, this is mean it's gonna be reversed, right? If you see it, you're not gonna see it anymore. This is like a science. Make it bigger. If you bring a light, you cover it, what's gonna happen on the other side? You're gonna have darkness, right? If you have divine existence, you cover it, what's you gonna have on the other side? I'm just reviewing last week's lecture. Divine void. You're gonna have divine void. You understand the concept. Anything Allah Azza wa Jal covered, and the other side's gonna be completely different, completely, right? Okay. So this place over here is the divine void. Divine void, what does it mean? It does mean it's where we came from, us. We came from the divine void. Allah Azza wa Jal, He took the cover off, this cover, so all the light now is existed everywhere. Can we find the divine void in the universe? Yes, I showed you that we can find it in the universe, the divine void. If you search Google now, you put the super void, you can find it inside the universe. Do you have any problem with that, or we continue? Any question about it? So we have something called the super void. So when Allah Azza wa Jal, He made this light go inside the void, He's calling us to exist. Allah Azza wa Jal, through Nur Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, He's telling us, exist. When you exist, you need to exist with morality. Now morality came to take a place. Islam is taking a place now inside us. What does it mean, Islam? Taslim lillah Azza wa Jal. No, I don't mean the Islam, the political Islam. I'm saying the submission to Allah. The submission to Allah from inside the heart. This is why we exist on earth. I'm giving you the real reason of your existence here. Because you need to clean yourself from the void. And this void can be cleaned by loving Allah Azza wa Jal, knowing who is He. The most important question that we always try to avoid, who we are exactly, why we're so valuable. Like this, does Allah Azza wa Jal love us? He love us? He say, okay, when we talk about Imam Ali and Rasulullah, He created the universe for them, then He doesn't love us. We're just like programs, right? What make us different than the virtual reality people that exist inside a software? Who knows? Can you give me like a description who we are and who are those people inside the virtual reality software? Basically, if you see the reality just from outside, those scientists, they see it. Those people inside the virtual reality software, actually they are like us. Can you believe it or not? Each one of us are a virtual reality of himself. All ourselves, they look like each other's. But what is the unique thing about us is the spirit. When the spirit go inside us, now it's given us a real definition of who we are. Right? The spirituality, when you feel the spirituality inside you, this is what gives you your real who you are. I will ask you a question. For example, my name is Mohamed. If now let's say my parents, let's say they didn't name me Mohamed, what's my real name before my name Mohamed? Like same thing, each one of you. What is your real name? What is your real look? Don't we look all the same thing? You see, before we come into this universe, to this place, don't we really exactly look the same thing? Did we really have names before? Did we really have genders before? Were we male and female before? Is a spirit male or female? You see, those the hard question when we believe they're hard, but they're not really hard. When you start really learning about these sciences, you will start answering yourself. That's why Imam, he said, one of the Imams, he said, if we really know why we are here in this universe, we don't really care much anymore. It doesn't make any sense. It does make sense in a way that we should survive, but do we have to fight for it to survive? Many people, they fight over, for example, you open a place and then another person you start competing with, and then we start marketing and we start fighting over, and then we have wars. And do we really need to have a war, all these wars to exist? Allah Azza wa Jal, He will give us the rizq, He will give us all this without fighting. Why we're fighting then? Why? Because the ego, when we start loving ourselves, when we start looking up about ourselves, what do I care about? For example, when you come to this country at the beginning, they always try to feed this to you, always. You need to take care of yourself so good. You need to talk to always yourself in a high manner. Yeah, it's very important, but you're transforming people only to people who care only for the newest watch, the newest car, the newest, the best body, the newest, whatever it is. You're always gonna fight for something. Really, it is like a virtual reality. I bring the best phone, right? I pay like say $1,500. After 6 months, I really need to buy another phone for $1,500, so my life can make sense. Or how can I exist in life if I don't buy such phone? Why? Because you're putting so much in things that they're not really important. What's gonna make if you buy a phone for $1,500 or for $10? Really, I bought this phone. It was for free. What does it mean in a Metro PCS signal, or you bring a Verizon? You say better signal. Like when you go, for example, you see the marketing. You see two people holding phones, and then he's go to the internet. We're testing the internet now, and then this person, he flip it like this. The other one is faster, like 0.10 millisecond. This is how faster it is. So I have to pay $100 more because 0.10 milliseconds. Because this internet is faster. What's changing your life if the internet's so fast like that? Always there's average. You have to go into it. But why are you gonna pay so much for something you don't really need? This is what we care about in Islam. Any questions regarding so far about those things? So this science, mainly the sacred geometry, will tell you those answers. They will tell you all those answers about your life. Why one of the imams said, you need to ask yourself inside this life, min ayna, from where did we come? Ila ayna, to where we're going. Min ayna wa ila ayna we're going. مثلا, nobody asks why we are here, why we're going after. Always we think when we see someone dead, we start, oh, he's so scary, he's dead. But actually we're gonna be one day like that too. Each one of us is gonna be like this. So what's gonna make you different through the eyes of Allah Azza wa Jal? Knowing those things, knowing this kind of things. Okay. I'm gonna talk very fast about the beginning, when I told you about this dot. What is the importance about this dot? Allah Azza wa Jal, He spoke in the Holy Quran about something called the shadow. Inside the Quran, the shadow. What does it mean? For example, in the Quran He spoke about the shadow as it is like a living thing. It's like something, it does exist in life. The shadow. Many scientists, even in Arabic, because we left our Ahl al-Bayt, many people, like Imam Hussein, they killed Imam Hussein. After that, we have 8 Imams from Imam Hussein. They all were killed. And then after that, Imam al-Mahdi, now he exists, but the problem is we don't see him. We have to fight inside, like we're not fighting like, we have to search so hard for every information from the Imam to know about the shadow. What does it mean? If you look at the science of the shadow, that it exists, the shadow, for example, if Imam Mahdi comes now, how do you know it's Imam Mahdi? Like the first signs, if someone tell you, I am Imam Mahdi now, in front of you, what do you do to know him? Yes.
Don't they have like signs of reappearance? I don't know, like signs of him, like
yeah, no, I'm not talking about the signs of the appearance. I'm saying like someone walking on the street now. He tell you like, hey, salamu alaikum, say wa alaikum salam, say I know you, you know your name is Hassan, Muhammad, you know whatever, your mother is so on, you know all the information about you. You will be surprised, are you watching me? Or he say, no, I'm not watching, I'm Imam Mahdi, I know everything about you. How do you know he's really Imam Mahdi or not? Why we don't really think about this? Do you think Imam Mahdi will never look at us? He never meet us, he'll never see you, he doesn't care about you? Do you remember Imam Mahdi? Sometime? Like sometime when you pray, say, Ya Rab, please hastenate his return?
Yes.
Do you remember? So when you remember Imam Mahdi, then he know you, he remember you, right? Because he say your remembrance of Allah Azza wa Jal, you need a permission from Allah Azza wa Jal to know him. Allah Azza wa Jal, he will give you the permission for you to know him. For example, I'm not talking about my lecture, I'm saying when you go to the Jama', you listen lecture, Allah Azza wa Jal sent you a permission to know more about him. He's giving you the permission to know. So he's thinking about you, right? Same thing when you talk about Imam Mahdi and you do the Dua al-Faraj and so on. So he's letting you remembering Imam Mahdi. So he know you. Maybe you met him before, but how do you know he's him or not? This is basic science. Because the Imams, they can take shapes, right? Sometimes they can be young kids, sometimes they're older, sometimes they look like shabab, How do you know? From the science of shadow. What do I mean by that? If you look on the floor and then there's light, what do you see under the light? Oh, there's a shadow, right? Imams and prophets, they don't have shadows. Why? Because they are the light, the source of light. How a source of light can have shadow? You see? So if you want to know Imam Mahdi, if someone will come up one time, or mashallah when he hasanate, Allah Azza wa Jal, he will send him, the first thing you search for is his shadow. After that, if you don't find the shadow, then you start thinking about different sciences. It might be the devil, I'm just joking. No, actually the devil have a shadow. Only Imams, they don't have a shadow. But what this lecture mainly, it's a call for opening the Quran in different perspectives. Yani, when you open each surah, each ayah, it has a meaning. And then yes.
Where does it talk about the shadow in the Quran?
Oh, there's multiple places where he spoke about the shadow. For example, one of the places about the Nabi Moussa alayhi salam, he was helping two ladies. He was helping them to bring water so they can take it home. And then after, when he helped them, he went back. He sat down in a shadow, remembering Allah Azza wa Jal. In this meaning, it has a different meaning than just sitting in a shadow. When a prophet, Allah Azza wa Jal, he sat in a shadow, it has a different meaning than us sitting in a shadow. And different places he spoke about it. But inshallah, I'll make a specific lecture. I was gonna spoke about it today, but I felt it's a little heavy now to talk about the sciences. If you have questions now, I can answer them. What do you feel about sacred geometry?
So the original question was how the Fatiha is equal to the Quran.
Yes.
How can we find Surah Al-Baqarah in the Fatiha?
Yes. So the beginning, you start searching for the meaning, each meaning of each surah, and then you start searching for this meaning inside Surah Al-Fatiha, and then you find where is it exactly. But because I told you I'm gonna show you about this is the cells, right? It's because she asked me, where does sacred geometry exist? How did we know it's true? You see, if you look at cells, look, when I showed you now about sacred geometry at the very beginning, when an egg is conceived, right? This is an egg already conceived. Inside the egg, you will start having two poles, right? Each pole will be like taken to different place. If you compare this to the sacred geometry, it does exist there. This is how we'll start making billions of cells from the first moment. It's basically made of the sacred geometry. The sacred geometry it's like the map of life. Same thing, atoms. For example, when you look at water, how is it connected together? It is like sacred geometry. All the atoms are connected same way. You see, they exist everywhere you can think of. Yes. And this is basically the dot. The first dot. Yes. You have a question?
Oh no.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
You were saying, so you told us you're gonna show us how we find it in the first verse.
First verse of what?
Yeah, so
How we can find Surah Al-Baqarah?
yeah, are you still gonna
Yes, no, I gave you the meaning of Surah Al-Baqarah. Let's take it like a homework for next week. Can you tell me what is it inside Surah Al-Fatiha? I gave you the meaning of Surah Al-Baqarah, right? I told you Surah Al-Baqarah has the constitution of religion. If you read Surah Al-Fatiha, where does the constitution exist inside? And if you want to make it more harder, where Surah Al-Baqarah exists inside Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim? And if you want to make it even harder, where Surah Al-Baqarah exists inside the Ba'?
No, are you referring to like what you talked about in the beginning, when you talk about, you know, letters to numbers, numbers to letters?
Yeah. No, yeah, you can use all kind of signs because Allah Azza wa Jal, I told you, every shape, even the letters, the real shape, each shape of them. You see the waw now I showed you at the beginning of the sacred geometry. You see how the waw was inside the circle? This is a waw was made from the circle inside. The noon was made from the half the circle, right? The ba is under half circle and then there's a dot under that, right? It's all inside sacred geometry. So if Allah Azza wa Jal showed you this shape inside the Quran at the beginning of the Quran, what does it mean? You see, it has to exist somewhere there.
To think, instead of letters, think shapes.
Yeah, you think everything. You think shapes, letters, voices, emotions. I told you voices about Taha. You know, Taha is not a place for shapes. It's for voice. Yasin, it's place for visual, something visual. You see?
Got it.
Yeah. Inshallah, if you want, next lecture we'll talk about the prophets. What is exactly the prophets mean? Yes.
I
Yes.
just have one more question.
Tfaddal.
This type of study,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to the Quran, does it have like a name?
Yes, it has a name called Ilm al-Jifr. Yes. Al-Jifr, yes.
Nice.
Any other questions? Yeah. Yeah. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.